So you're building a new crawler and you're not sure, four-wheel steer or dig. In the case of Mjolnir, it's got both. But for this video, we're going to look at the four-wheel steer versus the dig and see which one works the best in different situations. Now, your local crawler group, your competition scene, may have their own rules as to what you can and can't run, so that may also be a deciding factor. However, for this video, we're going to look at both of them right here. Take a look. Both of these trucks are built on the same chassis for spare time hobbies. They both have the Optimus 3 bundle. They both have Capra drive lines, so they both have the exact same dig in there. They have Reefs 777 servos, Micro 99s there. They both have the DSMs. They've got the same Magnum 11 turn motors, same ESC, same radios. It's just obviously the difference is in the back. So the back end is where all the action is for this video right here. Now with four-wheel steer, you're going to have the added weight of a servo. You're going to add the complexity of the rear steer. And with these portals, you're also going to add, let me show you guys. See that C-hub hanging out right there? So you're also adding a potential hang-up on that. Without the rear steer, you can see it's perfectly clean. So that is a major advantage of not having rear steer. Now the dig units, they're all in the transmission, and that's a performance thing. There's no difference between the two there, but the rear steer, that is where it is. Now, both of these trucks, even though they're on the same chassis, they drive very different. You can see I've actually got a Reefs sway bar on the back of this one. This one needed it for some reason, and I believe it's a little bit more of the weight. Adding the weight back here brings this weight balance much more closer to center. I believe it's somewhere around 53-47, I believe it is. 53 front, 47 rear. As where Optimus is actually about 57 front, 43 rear. So by adding the weight back here, if you're trying for the 60 front and 40 rear, you could actually mess up your balance if you're doing that. So regardless, that is one of the things about four-wheel steer versus dig. You add more complexity on the back end. And also, I do want to point out, say you happen to kill a servo. This back end is just going to flop around back and forth. And if you're in competition and that happens, you're pretty much done. I mean, you're just pretty much done. So that's another thing that you have to worry about. You could strip the servo horn. You could break linkage, break one of these knuckles. You know, those are weak points in this truck. So anyways, let's go ahead and get these things outside so I can show you guys the difference. We're going to get a turn test in. Now keep in mind, Optimus 3 does have overdrive in the portal gears, as where Mjolnir does not. So the big rock is going to be normal turn. The small rock is going to be using the dig. Let's see where we're at here with Optimus 3. I recently did this with a Creep 6 and it turned way sharper, but I had the wild gears in there. So there is the normal turn right there. I'm going to put that rock in place. So there we are with the turn. Using the dig, here we go. That's pretty darn tight. And there it sits. Mjolnir front steer only. Now there's no overdrive here, so let's see where we go. That's going to be really out there. Yeah, way out. I'm not even going to put a rock at that. Now Mjolnir with rear steer. Notice how far out Mjolnir goes. Well, if you measure to the inside tire, there it was, but we can see how the major differences between four-wheel steer and dig just in that turn. Now to start this off, we're going to mess with a four-wheel steer. Now, a lot of guys say, oh, what's four-wheel steer? It's a cheater truck. That is not the case, because if you do not drive four-wheel steer correctly, guess what? You're going to drive into gates. So there's a truck, there's a gate. Let's see what I can do with Mjolnir right here. I'm gonna see if we can turn this around. Now, you gotta watch that back end because it will walk
over, and that is what will actually get you into gates. And so you got this right here. So now you got to back up and you got to watch everything. Back up a little bit, then you can make that turn right through here. Simple as that. With dig, you've got to learn how to drive it accordingly. The back end does not reposition itself, so you got to make sure you swing wide sometimes and get that front end over, sometimes all the way. Dig is engaged. Pull this over. All right, now we got to drive forward, get that back end all the way over as far as we can. Like this right here. Now I'm going to dig in reverse. Now the back end usually will push and sometimes mess you up, but looks like we may get it this time. All right, so now we're lined up a lot better. See how far out the back is? You got to watch that. With the four-wheel steer of Mjolnir, it was pretty easy to just simply drive around it. So now we got to get past this gate. Right there. Now we got to get past this one. And once you're past that gate, you can actually turn to the right, over. Now that we're going to clear it, just simply give it a little bit of a dig, and boom, there you go. Sometimes dig can just get you over stuff. Now this is a particularly hard climb right here. And you got to get that dig to engage just right. But when you do, and get that front end to hook. And see that right there? Let's see if I can get this. This is a really hard climb, and I hope I don't mess it up here. And see, that is, I'm gonna try that with Mjolnir right up next. I have my doubts, because that is a seriously, seriously tough climb. Now, without the dig, this is almost an impossible object. Because when you get up like this, you can't disengage the back end to get that turn, and you just simply go over because of the torque of the rear axle and the tires, the traction, all that stuff. So that's a definite win for dig right there. On side hills, a lot of times this four-wheel steer can really work out great for you. You get right up there to it, simply give it some turn, and that front end will come over. Let's see, make sure we're clearing the gate. We are. And then when you get to this right here, a lot of times your tires will actually drift. I'm not having that issue right now, but when you do have that issue, you can crab steer and work yourself right through the gate. Simple as that. Using dig, it's a little bit different. You really got to drive, accordingly, like I've mentioned. Get this thing wide over here. Something like that. Lock in that rear end, and then hopefully that front will turn and drop down past this. You can do that to kind of drop on side hills just a little bit. Now that we're past the gate, what we're going to attempt to do is just simply drive it. I don't want to tag it. Now also, if you have a lot of overdrive, on your vehicle, this could cause you to drift really bad when actually driving. Still got it. But you guys saw the whole deal of how that's supposed to happen. You got to drive accordingly. This is a win for the four-wheel steer Mjolnir. Coming down is another ball game. You got your dig truck right here, so I'm gonna sit here, gonna lock the dig in. I'm gonna try to hit reverse and drop that up, or climb that up. Bring it over. Hopefully we don't drift into that gate. We just cleared that gate. And there we go. Now with four-wheel steering, you obviously have to drive differently. You can go ahead and pitch that right on in there. See how much drift we got going on right here. Now that back end is going to turn into there, so push a button. Here we are. Now I can crab right through the gate. With four-wheel steering, sometimes you can use this to your advantage, and other times it will just flat mess you up and turn you into a gate, and that is rear steer, moving the front end around. Sometimes, you know, you can put that front end over where you want it, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. Now, sometimes due to course restraints, you can't use four-wheel steering all the time. Like this particular one right here, you really want to be in front steer only. That way the back end doesn't really fall off. So, and then like this particular situation right here, see that back end? We're going to try to get that back end down a little bit. Getting that back end down really helps avoid the side rolls. See how I just did that? Now I've got to ease it up, and we're on the high side here. When we get up here, I'm going to give this thing a good hard turn and ride that slider around. Now we're going to try to ease back a little bit because I do want to keep all my tires on the course. I think I was barely on there. But anyway, now we're going to come down to here. And now this particular spot right here, you don't want your back tire to fall off of that. So you got to be able to go into front steer pretty quick. So in some radios, you can really get into that pretty easy. Some, you got to look at the menu, go through and scroll through all kinds of stuff, and that just doesn't work out very well for you. I'm going to sit here and ride this up right on the side. Drop the front right tire into the crack. And now right here, I'm going to try to get the back tires onto that rock right there. This truck is known for not really liking the crack of doom, so I'm trying to get that back end down. As long as I can keep that front on it, which I did, I'm there. Now we're still in four-wheel steer. Okay, what I just did there was blip the throttle and jump the gap of death. So now I'm gonna crab over to about right here, and hopefully, I'm going back into front steer only, hopefully I can ride right through here and complete this. It doesn't always work out, let me tell you. Now right here, we're gonna go back into four-wheel steer, get the back end up, and there we are. Let's play with some dig on Optimus 3. I'm gonna simply ease down in here, and just like I did with the Mjolnir, no rear steer at this point right here. So we're gonna simply try to walk right up the left side. And let's see here. Now remember, this has a little bit more of a weight bias on it. Now with the rear steer, I was able to get that front end up this, bringing the back end around. Now we're going to try dig uphill. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. All right, looks like we got a little bit of something to work here. Now we're right on that. Now, see if I can do a little dig. No, and the reason the dig isn't working is because this tire is up against that. So that is just not going to work very well. Try a little more dig. There we go. Now we've got the crack of doom, and like I said, this is eating a lot of vehicles' lunches. So without having the rear steer to deal with, I can just kind of drive into it, hopefully. Basically the same line, and we're just simply going to ease that front end down into there again. And now, so long as the back left tire doesn't dig underneath, Optimus 3 will get this without issue. Looks like we're going to be good. Now, without the rear steer, I can't crab it over or anything like that, but I will try the throttle bump. to see if I can get across this just like I did with Mjolnir, which was kind of by accident, but we'll try it. Ah, if I would have kept up on the throttle, that would have went right on up it. So there we are right there. We're going to ease this over. Now sometimes you can use that dig to really make that work out well. So in fact, oh, I was just about to use a dig to see if I can make it get to hook, but there we are.
Well guys, hopefully I was able to show you guys some of the more obvious differences between four-wheel steer and dig. Dig in some ways turns way sharper, but that really depends on what's at the back tires. You know, so long as you have them set up right, you know, a rock like what I mentioned to the inside tire of your dig turns like a charm. Four-wheel steer, on the other hand, can bring the whole back end around. And being able to quickly switch modes, front steer, rear steer, crab steer, is a major benefit. Even on some of the climbs that we set up, I've actually taken this truck right here and actually pitched it up like this and crabbed it over like this to get through a gate. Now, most of our gates aren't leaning so much that you're instantly going to roll, but we have some that are pretty darn steep and you really got to work at it. I was able to get Mjolnir or Optimus 3 up it, but I actually had to come all the way down and back up to get that angle, and then I was able to clear it. This was at the Barbarian Scaleplex when I pulled that one off. So hopefully I was able to show you guys hopefully what you needed to see for you to make the decision for your own vehicle. Like I say, Mjolnir has both dig and four-wheel steer, and sometimes it can get a little bit confusing, especially driving one-handed. So, but anyway guys, hopefully you liked the video. Hopefully you saw what you needed to see. In that description are links for these trucks right here. You can't actually buy them, but you can absolutely bolt these things together with a chassis from Spare Time Hobbies, because they both have the exact same package like I showed you guys at the beginning of the video. The only difference, rear steer and a sway bar, because they are different trucks, oddly enough, even though they're very much the same. Anyway guys, check that description for links for these trucks and more affiliate links. AMAIN, eBay, Redcat, Walmart, they're all down there. Use those links to either purchase whatever they take you to and whatever's in your cart, or just check out. Hopefully it all works and everything works out well for everybody involved, because it gives a little bit of a commission and that helps out a lot. So guys, in that description, use those links, make sure you're subscribed, and thank you all for watching.
If you guys like what you see, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. If you really like what you see, consider clicking on that join button down below. With that, you can actually become a channel member. Members get early viewing of many of the videos and, you know, a little bit more personalized. Guys, thank you all for watching.